In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a cohesive mini-series from 5 different types of collage papers taught in my 5 most recent YouTube art demos. Hello, my name is Catherine Rains. I'm a mixed media collage artist, and welcome to Tune In Tuesday, where I share weekly art demos to expand your mixed media toolbox. If you see value in this video, I would deeply appreciate a thumbs up, and if you would subscribe to my channel below. Links for all the collage papers to make these collages are linked down below. And you might also want to check out my free 5-day online class, Collage Kickstart, where I teach you how to use all the papers made during Tune In Tuesday to make beautiful collages the very first try. So let's get into creating a cohesive collage series from 5 types of collage papers. After doing art demos with 5 different paper techniques, I then create a mini series out of those 5 papers, and I've already done that 4 different times. This little mini series with 5 different papers, as was these 2, these, and these. These 9 collages actually represent over 20 different types of collage papers, and they were all created with a limited palette of Hansa Yellow Light and Phthalo Blue Green shade, along with a little white and a little black mixed in, just for variety. Now on these 2, I do have a little orange. That's because I did add Quin Magenta and Hansa Yellow Light together to create that. But for the most part, I am using just 2 colors and black and white. And I'm going to show you how to transform another 5 papers into a mini series that will actually go with all of these, even though they're very different types of paper techniques, but they're all with the same color family. So this newest series will be created with these 5 different types of papers. I have rolling pin paper, glue resist, vegetable, fruit monotypes, bubble paper using a different technique from the first time I used bubble paper in the series, and water and paint activated paper. The first step in creating these papers is to select papers that I absolutely love. Just because I created them doesn't mean I actually want to use them in a collage. So what I'm going to do is put them in one big pile and then go through them one by one, holding each one and saying, do I absolutely love this? This is my love pile and my maybe later pile. Sometimes the maybe laters will never get used, but many times they will get filed for future use, potentially for other layers that I will put on top of them. Or maybe I just don't have the energy to use them now, or they're not appealing to me right now, but I'll use them at a later date. So this particular one I love. I like this one, not because it's so gorgeous, but because it's a light value. And I've kind of looked at these papers and I don't have a lot of light values. Now I'm planning on staying with a cool family for this collage series. So this orange is not part of that. It's a warm paper, but I really love it. So I'm going to put it aside and maybe put a pop of orange. We'll see. So for each paper, I am really looking for kind of like a body reaction. Like when I look at this, do I feel something inside that says, yes, I got to use this? And I do like this one a lot. So, and I'm getting a little tingle inside. So I'm thinking I'm going to put it in the yes pile. Now I got a huge pile of yeses. And making a collage or trying to make a collage from so many papers makes it very overwhelming. So I'm going to do a second sort, and that is by value. So all of my papers are now together, but I got to see what I have in terms of light, medium, and darks. And then I'll go light, medium, and dark, and neutrals. So this one could actually qualify as a light or actually a medium or a dark. So I got some darks. So I think that's what I'm going to use of this. I'll probably use the dark portion of it. And this one has light and mediums too. So it's kind of like it's a toss-up. Am I going to count this as light or medium? I don't know. But for the moment, we're going to do medium. And as I go, I'm trying to see if I can weed some out. So we're going to put some on the side that I could live without, because I can't use all of these. Love, love, love that. Goodness. So many gorgeous papers. Now, this one is not one of my favorite loves, but I think it might be a really interesting contrast to other papers because it will read as something not that busy. Although altogether it looks busy, but if I take a piece of that, it won't look that busy. It'll kind of calm things down. Let's say if I put that next to this. So luckily I'm able to get rid of some papers because I can't use all of these. Then it turns the collage making into not something that's so fun. Oh yeah, I need a neutral pile. I'll scoot this over. And again, this one isn't necessarily my absolute favorite, but because it's not as active, for instance, like this one has a lot going on. So I put it next to this. These potentially could look nice next to each other because this one's nice and soft in terms of how busy it is, and this one's got a lot going on. So I'm going to keep that in the medium. Totally crazy about this one, as I am about this one. Wow, look at that. And this one's transparent as well, which makes it really an interesting paper. I have my one orange. We'll see if I use that one. I don't know. I'm not liking that one right now. All right. So I've got light, medium, dark, neutrals, and my orange, and more papers to place aside for future use. With all of my papers now sorted, and they're actually right in front of me. You just can't see them. So I've got a pile of lights, mediums, darks, and neutrals. The way I start every collage is I go through my sorted piles and I pick out a piece of paper that I just completely adore, and that is this one. This is water-activated acrylic paint, and the question is what part of this to use, because I would really love to use this as a central focus on both of my collages. Now, this is on Yupo paper, so normally I'd like to rip my paper, but Yupo paper doesn't rip. I think I'm going to do something like that. I'll actually back it up. In fact, I think I'm actually going to use this as a grid. So I'll turn this over. I have a piece left over. I don't want to use this whole piece. Straight line right there. Now some of this will get covered up as I put other collage pieces down. Now I've got two pieces to choose from. But this is a starting point. I think that's a really nice edge for my collage. And even though this is a straight edge here, I can tear papers to go over that one. Now, the next question is, what lighter paper can I put up against this? Because this is pretty dark, and this doesn't have a lot of activity. This is really busy here, but this doesn't. So potentially I could put something that has a little more action to it, but I need something either medium or a medium value or light. So what I do is I just start putting papers next to it, like what potentially could look interesting next to it. I call this auditioning papers. That looks pretty good. I also like that. It's got a lot of white space, and I would like to create a torn edge. So not only am I looking for a paper that might look good next to this, but I also want it to be a different size than this. So this substrate now is basically, I've cut this substrate in half. So I don't want another piece of paper that's the same size as that. So I'm thinking some rectangular piece. And I am gonna kind of let the paper kind of hang over for the time being. I'll cut it off later. And now I need something right here. Now my goal is to put one piece of each kind of those 5 papers. So this is water activated acrylic. This is my fruit monotype. So I want another kind of paper here, but I need it in a medium value. So it's kind of like a game I play. How many papers can I fit? Or can I fit all 5 papers into a single collage? I never know until I actually do it. This is another piece of Yupo, so it won't cut. And this is too similar. this might work. This is rolling paper, or I should rolling pen paper. So this is a medium value. They really love edges like that. So I'm trying to create a really nice torn edge. So I've got 3 different kinds of paper here. This is way too much. So I might as well just cut some of that off, and probably can use that scrap somewhere else. So I don't have any glue resist yet. See if I have any glue resist papers I can add. So that's a nice contrast to this and that. I kind of like that. Ooh. So, you know, as I'm doing this, I'm looking for kind of a body reaction. It's like when I put that piece down, I went, oh, that's a sign like I probably have something. So I think I'm just going to tear a piece off here. Something like that. Of course, you know, this is going to get cut off when it gets glued down. And that's when I'll know, you know, what it really looks like. I'm just doing approximation cuts here. But I like that. So that is 4 different types of paper. I'm missing bubble paper. Now, a lot of my bubble paper didn't make the cut. So the question is, do I want to add anything? Because I really love this composition right here. In fact, I would like this and maybe add something just to finish it off, as opposed to force this bubble paper into the collage. So this actually didn't make the initial cut when I sorted my papers, but I think it might work right here if I cut a little strip of that, put it right in between there, and get a nice torn edge here. Oh, I wish I could ask you and you could say, yes, try that. I always think I want to collage by committee. Of course, that would take a very long time to do, wouldn't it? Actually, I think that works, but make it, you know, kind of subtle, that little strip there. I'm going to go for this one. And actually, I just realized I want this to be a torn edge too. So I'm going to gently tear this. Now I got a cute little scrap there. That works for me. I love torn edges. You know, you may like straight edges. It's all personal preference here. Okay, so the way I glue is I take everything off in reverse order. And where I think I need to, I'll put a little bit of pencil marks. I don't need to do too much here because it's a pretty simple design. In fact, I don't think I really need to make a pencil mark. Yeah, that's the next one. This one, just going to make some pencil marks under here. I know where to place it. I've got a kind of a liquidy matte medium, and I've also got a gel medium. So I go back and forth depending on the weight of the paper. Now this paper is pretty thick, so I'm going to start with the matte gel. It's going to flat brush and put it right on the substrate. Now I'm going to try something I usually don't do with this kind of work. So what I usually do is put a layer of the gel medium on top too, and then squeegee everything out with a catalyst wedge. But instead, I'm going to use a brayer because I don't really want to put more paint on top of this. I'm afraid I may get some smearing if I do. I don't know what this water-activated acrylic will do on top of Yupo paper. So this is going to work. Just make sure I got a good... That looks good. So the next piece was this one. And this is a pretty skinny piece of paper. So I think I'm going to add some medium right on here. Now, let's see. This is my usual method. Put some on top. Take a catalyst wedge. Rub out any bubbles. And I'm not getting smearing. Hopefully that will be okay. But a little bit of matte medium did go over onto my water-activated paper. So I don't want to do too much more, anything going on top of there, because there is a little bit of a, it takes away that beautiful sheen of the water-activated paper. So I gotta be careful with that. And this one goes right there. This paper I think is stable, so I'm safe putting the matte medium right on here. And this, I just got to eyeball. Where did I want this? Something like that and like that. Gosh, I love this. And when I actually use the words, I love this, I know I'm in the right place. So this is a very thin paper as well. So I think what I'm going to do, because I don't really want to get any more matte medium on here on the surface, on the top. So I'm going to paint on my gel medium. I could have used matte medium for this too. By the way, I could use either one of these glues for both of these. I don't need to be going back and forth. I just know that the strength of the glue or the thickness of the glue, what does have an effect on how easy it is to get down my paper and to keep it down. Now I've got glue here, so I really want to cover that glue up. Now because I don't want to put any matte medium on top, I'm going to roll it out. Hopefully that will get it flat. And the last piece is this bad thing. But before I do anything, I am going to cut off the excess so I can see what I got with the lid on my gel medium, because that will dry out pretty quick. It's interesting because this was a piece of rice paper, and it turns out it's kind of transparent, particularly when I put some matte medium on it, so you can see the paper underneath, which I kind of like. This paper is also rice paper. I'm going to spread it right on there, matte medium. It's pretty thin paper. So there's my first draft. And I'm not going to do too much more to this. I'm probably going to add something, I'm thinking right here maybe, or maybe a circle here. We'll see. Time to create the second one in this mini series. But as I place collage elements on this one, I want to keep looking at this one off to the side because I don't want them to be identical, but I would like to have at least one piece of paper that ties them together. And the two pieces of paper I like the most off here is this one, and I'm pretty infatuated with this one. So I'm going to play with both of these as the thing that kind of pulls them together. But let's say if I use this one, I don't want it to be in the same place. That means it's too much alike from that one. But maybe I'll take a smaller piece of it and put it in another corner, which is actually not a bad idea, because I really like the idea of having a circle there, and then I've got a circle here in terms of a hollowed out circle. Now, what to place against this? So I'm just going to go through my stash of papers and say, okay, what would look good against this? Now, I've already used this paper against here once, but I might be able to use it in a very different way where it still works. We'll see. This one is actually corn on the cob paper. It is one of the fruit and vegetable prints. So I'm going to tear off a piece of this. And I'm deliberately creating a paper cut line. Maybe something like that. Now, most of this is going to get covered up, this piece of paper that I'm tearing right now. Just kind of playing around with what I can add to this. And again, I'm looking for as many different papers, types of papers as I can on a single collage. So I've got two. Now, I love this thing right there, but this is a circle and that's a circle. So it might be a kind of distracting. Maybe if it's a kind of an obtuse circle. That I really love. And that is actually what I am listening for myself. Like when I say, oh, I love that, how might I be able to add that? So I'm tearing down the size of some of these papers just so I can get a sense of what this is going to look like. If the papers are too big hanging off, I can't really see what the design looks like. So I've got rolling pin. This is a vegetable print and the acrylic water activation thing. So I'm thinking maybe a smaller strip of this. You know, I'm trying not to think too much about it, because the more I think, the more I'm going to get caught in my head as opposed to just placing little pieces of paper. So now I've got a natural corner here that I can fill in. This is a circle too, and there's a circle and circle, but it's a very different size circle. So that actually works for me. Oh, gosh, I'm loving it. Okay, so I've got 4 pieces of paper, 4 different types of paper, I should say. Question is, I think the only one I don't have is the bubble paper. which I had that was the last one I placed on the last one too. It was hard to find a way to fit it in. Here's that bubble paper from last time. This is tricky. What color to place there? So I pulled up my bubble papers again, see if there's something that might fit in there. I actually like it. And I want to cover up that straight edge there. Now, this feels like it's right in the middle, and I don't want that. So I may scoot this over so it's a little off to the side. And then I need to do some little cutting, tearing, I should say. I want to create, this is, I think, watercolor paper. Feels really thick. So I want to create some kind of torn edge on here. And then I need torn edge down here. Very subtle torn edge, but it's one. So it goes like that. Something like that. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All 5 pieces of paper are on here. I'm thinking I'm going to make this one even thinner though. I don't want this to be so prominent. That feels better. Still kind of centered for me, but something like that. So I glued my second piece off camera. Now both of these are dry and I've cut off all the extra edges. And they're a little curled. I'm totally okay with that. And I made these on Bristol paper and I didn't prepare them like I usually do with gesso on the back. And I think I'm going to do that from now on. It's just one extra step that I don't need to do. I can go straight into collaging and gluing. So I really wanted to put something on here to finish them off. And I pulled out some little hand cut paper, triangles and circles. And I really love the triangle shape. I actually used the triangle shape in Collage Joy for one of my exercises. However, the other collages in the series all have a circle on them, or most of them do, to finish them off. So I'm kind of thinking the circle might be the way to go to tie all of them together in one more way in addition to the colors. So if I were to take some of these circle pieces, you know, just kind of like want to hang it off of something, you know, like hang it off something like that. And maybe something like that, or like that. I can actually like kind of make it kind of fit in with that, the edge of that little thing right there. So that's kind of where I think I'm going with this. Okay, I got my palette paper again because I don't want to put the matte medium on this little piece of paper in particular. I'm okay with this piece of paper, but this would actually change the nice gloss that's on there. So I am going to put gel medium over a big swath of this over the palette paper. I hope I got enough on there. Yeah, I think that works. Let that dry. This one I'm not so concerned about. This paper, I'm okay with just putting the medium right on here. So I think that's what I'll do. You know, even though this looks white now, it is going to dry completely clear. These two are now done and I love them. I'm going to change the orientation, I think, of this one. Doesn't really matter. They go either way. But now I want to look at the entire collection together. So what's so amazing about this kind of work is that even though this represents over 25 different types of collage papers, this actually looks like it goes together because I used a limited color palette of 2 colors, 2 primaries. And I just can't wait to jump into another 5 papers so that I can expand this collection by a couple more. Thanks for coming along as I expanded my collection by 2. And by the way, the newest ones I make are always my favorite ones. So right now, this is my favorite of the whole collection. But the last time I did it, these were my favorite, which was the last 2 I made. I will see you back here for another collage paper lesson very soon, so I can start to expand this collection even farther. And I hope that you're expanding yours as well. To learn how to make many more types of collage papers, check out the links that are about to appear right here. And be sure to check out my free 5-day online workshop, Collage Kickstart. The link to sign up is under the word more below. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I would be deeply grateful if you would. And I'll see you back here next week for Tune In Tuesday.